Hey, welcome to Love Them Knives channel. Today we're going to talk about the WE Knives Double Helix. Well, today it's the Double Helix. What do you think? WE Knives makes this is a stonewash blade of S35VN steel. It is a titanium slide lock. I want to say slide rock. It's a state park in Arizona. In any case, really cool too, by the way. Slide lock knife. And so it's not a frame lock. It's not a liner lock. It's a slide lock. Reminds me so much of the Axis lock knife from Benchmade, right? I mean, in a way. Only on the Benchmade, nothing constricts the blade from opening, just from closing, because actually the actual piston here or bar comes across and blocks the blade from being able, you have to pull it away. You can see the part of the blade here where it blocks it from being able to collapse. So it's a pretty solid, I mean, as long as this bar doesn't break or bend, you're in good shape there. So it is pretty solid lock. This one's a little different. Well, first of all, this one has a little wire and you can kind of see it. It wraps around this knob and it wraps around this knob here and then goes into a little hole in this liner here on both sides. So it's kind of a little spring that wraps around and then pokes in here to make it stationary, so this will give it spring. This is a different type of spring and it's external on both sides. So that's really pretty trick. I mean, I'm going, are we talking steampunk or what? I mean, it's kind of, that obvious kind of very mechanical, industrial look to this thing where it's kind of showing all the pieces and parts instead of hiding them under the scale. It's making it part of the design element here. So one of the guys said, you know why they did this knife? They did it because they could. Because they could. So it wasn't necessarily trying to prove anything other than, hey, this would be really cool to kind of make the spring and make a piston lock type knife, but make it into, and then have the spring become an integral part, a unique part of the design, which works. But in this way, if you see, when you look on this knife, you can see this big groove in here without taking it apart. And you know what? I ought to give you the link to Zelric. I mean, he's the WE Knife rep for the United States, and he did a video where he took this apart. I ain't taking this apart. I already saw his video. So, but I mean, you can see this little U-shaped groove in here, and that is where that piston is going to go into. Now, you can't open this knife. Unlike the Benchmade, it locks shut and locks open. So it's locked shut, which is secure. And if you want to open it, you just pull this back. Both these springs do their thing, this way as well. See? So, I mean, you can see them work. They're magic. Not as much on this side because you can kind of see this part of the spring compressing. On this side, it's easier to see because it's all exposed. Yeah. But in any case, open it up. And of course, in here is another U-shaped area where this piston, this lock slides forward. So it is a slide lock. And so it doesn't just go into a notch where the back of the blade continues out and down, but there's a notch in the top where this bar sits over the top, like it does in the Benchmade. but instead it actually goes into a machined U-shaped area. So not up or down, it stabilizes it pretty well. Of course, you have to have very tight tolerances there in consideration of the diameter of this bar here to make sure you don't have any wiggle when you get done, so that it's tight there and that it's also tight here. But easy to open, easy to close, and either way it's locked in place. So pretty trick. You got these fullers on both sides. The blade is really fairly, conservative kind of look to it. It's not wild or crazy. It's a very standardized look to the blade. I mean, you could do piercing with it. You could do slicing with it. The Double Helix. Wow. Okay. It's sharp out of the box, and it should be, because it's $258 million. It's $285. And of course, this particular one is mine. Now, White Mountain Knives, they may have this back in stock by the time I release this video anyhow. And they also have other colors, the bronze one or the regular titanium one or the blue one with the partially blackened blade or whatever, in stock the last I saw. So they, things roll in and out of stock at various times, but $285, so it's $28.50 off of that if you use the LTK discount code when you check out. So there you go. And apparently this banner stuck right in the middle of all these statistics, but 815D is what this is. So it has the stonewash blade, not the partially blackened, and it's titanium, ceramic bearings, 4.55 ounces. The patented slide lock, designed by the We Knife team, made in China, of course, and on the box, yes, it confirms all that. The Double Helix. So, yeah, and it's not a real big knife. 3¼ inch blade, 83 millimeters, 7 3/4, so under 8 inches and under 20 centimeters. So it's shorter than the Paramilitary 2. Fancy, get out here, here you go. So it's looking bigger in this aspect ratio. I mean, it's looking the same size basically, but you flip the Para 2 down here and all of a sudden, no, it doesn't look as big, does it? 8 1/4, 7 3/4. So yeah, you got a ½ inch difference between the two knives. Yeah. So 4.55, this is 3.8 ounces. So 4.55, let's confirm that. I mean, a lot of times I will find some discrepancies with the online retailers' information. Now, this one looks about right, 129. Okay, 4.56. It was 4.55. It's close enough. Close enough. So, yeah, and it comes in this box, of course. And let me see which end of this box I popped open. I usually only unseal one side, just for the heck of it. I always like to keep the box fairly intact. And then you get, of course, a zipper pouch, which is nice. And microfiber cloth, and of course it goes in the plastic in the pouch, and then you got another side of the pouch to use for whatever, and your paperwork, that kind of thing. So yeah, zipper pouch, it's nice. Not that fuzzy Riot stuff. What is that? What is that? Oh my God, what they've done this year in 2018 is a road they should not have traveled, my friends. It's a road they should not have traveled. But in any case, yeah, this is really cool in that regard. Now, it feels like it's fairly fat this way. So let's see if we can, yeah, we got a -0. That's perfect. 15.8 millimeters, 0.62. So it's a fat fatty. It really is. Not very tall though. I mean, this way, 0.81 of an inch. That ain't much, which is 20.6 millimeters. Now let's see what we got on the blade here. 3.8, okay, which is a 0.15 something. Yeah. But I do like the little fullers. Yeah, you can pierce. Yeah, it's got a tall grind on here, so you should be able to slice. And, you know, the good thing about it not being a flipper is you got a good contact patch here. It's not like a flipper knife would be. You know, you're getting close to your work here. You got that little bit of a choil up front here. And ergos, it feels pretty good. It's not real tall this way, so it doesn't really fill the hand in that respect, but it kind of makes up for some of that with the width here. And look at all the machining, all these slots along here and all these different levels of machining here. Of course, all this material had to come out to put the spring, the external spring in. And obviously the hardware is titanium and it's anodized as well. Looks like it's a stone wash and anodized over the stone wash. This here, I kind of see why they did these stanchions here on this pocket clip, which is obviously titanium as well. But I see why they did that. In fact, hold on, let me get my magnet. Well, yeah, I'm feeling the blade under there. I think this, well, I mean, obviously this is titanium. I'm thinking this side probably is too. But, you know, you're feeling that underneath. None of this is, though. That's not magnetic. Whatever this spring is. So, titanium? Wow. Odd. Nothing there is magnetic. That's all nothing. So, like I was going to say about this pocket clip, I don't dig pocket clips that are up on stanchions like this. I just don't. But I see the logic in doing it in that regard, because you have that external spring down there. So really bringing it down. I mean, I guess I would have rather had just some kind of a single base there you could put 2 screws into instead of having 2 separate tubes here. You got extra pieces to lose if you disassemble the knife. I mean, just like one piece there, and then you could put the screws in there. And I don't know. In any case, I guess if that's the niggle, that's the niggle. The other thing is, if you look at the knife, it seems a little bit like the scale, which is 4.5. You know, I've seen longer blades fit in a 4.5 inch handle, so it's maybe not as proportional, and it's just the way it's done. Let me see. Really, they used, for all practical purposes, all the handle they could. It's just the fact that your knife is gonna, you know, you can't make a longer blade and have it work with this kind of design, with this slide lock mechanism. So you're gonna have to be out here quite a ways to get this, you know, to all work correctly. So I understand how the engineering was to where you couldn't fit a longer blade in, where you could with another knife. And I don't know if this knife is a 4 it's 4 5/8 or whatever, but this is, you know, almost 4-inch blade, you know. So, I mean, but it's a different setup because of how it's engineered, because of the lock mechanism and everything. So, yeah, in that regard, it looks a little bit handle long and blade short. but not, it's not horrible that way. It's an interesting knife, that's for sure. It's not that heavy, but it's not that big overall. But it's handy. And it's fairly thick, so you might feel it in your pocket for that reason, but also it does give you good purchase on the knife to have it fairly thick out here. You know, it's an open design, and of course you've got a standoff back here, so it's pretty sparse with this open thing. I mean, design, there's not like 2 or 3 other standoffs in here. It's not busy in that regard. And this is, yeah, not too shabby. You look in here and you go, well, I guess they did the weight relieving. I mean, if you flip these scales over, you'd go, oh, well, it's weight relief because of all this material that was pulled out of here. So in that regard, yeah, there's no point in doing any more inside there. And I don't know what you could have really done, you know. So no, I think it's adequate, and it's not that heavy, so cool knife. $285. Well, if I can take $30 off of that, $255. Okay. I mean, it's kind of right there with so many of the other titanium anodized, and this is already anodized, pimped, all that kind of stuff. You kind of got everything done, and you get the pouch and the microfiber cloth. So yeah, I don't know if I'm seeing 300 on a thing like this, but I guess 250 I could, you know, because, you know, hell, all your ZT knives are 240 or whatever. So, and a lot of your Kaisers that are equivalent to this, and then Riots they're proud of their stuff. They're in the 3, but so yeah, okay. And especially if you like this trick little exterior mechanical look to it, depending. But, you know, and a lot of people probably do like the fact that it locks shut. And it has a different locking mechanism than a frame lock. You know, I do get a bit of frame lock weariness after a while. So it is nice to see, you know, these piston locks, or I like axis locks, I like liner locks, triad lock. You know, some things that are just different. It gives you the opportunity to have it very symmetrical. You're not, you know, having to do 2 different things here because you have a lock bar cut out and everything. You can do what you want here. So yeah, I mean, I think the ergos are respectable on here. You don't have much of anything here for sharpening. You could probably keep from coming up against the plunge. So, and it looks symmetrical. So yeah, it's sharpenable. Shouldn't be a big problem in that regard. And just the blade design is just, you know, something that you would think you would see on a traditional knife, really. Like a slip joint or something, almost. So in that regard, but cool. Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's not necessarily for me personally. I mean, you got jimping on top of the blade. I mean, for me, you can go forward on this. Yeah. But nah, I mean, it's not a design that just wipes me out. I mean, I love the Ferox. I like the Chimera. I like the Wasabi. I like the 614. I like the 604 Dragon scales. I mean, I could tell you a bunch of Wii knives that I prefer before I'd get to this. So there's some contenders on the Wii docket that I would grab before I'd grab this. But this is new. This is different. They're keeping it interesting. They're doing something unconventional. And for that, hey, got to hand it to them, right? Got to hand it to them. All right, I'm going to let you go. Flanagan, what do you think? Time to go? We got things we got to do. But you guys, take care out there. You know what we do around here. We love them knives. And so it's your job to stay sharp.